Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Dennis Duke Onyala. If you're new here, please make it a point to subscribe. I'm super excited because I am unveiling something to you, and that's none other than our goat pen, our raised goat structure, our raised goat house, where we are going, of course, to do our goat farming business. So just in case you didn't know, brace yourselves, tighten those seatbelts, because it's going to be a roller coaster kind of journey that we are going to move together as I guide you into that goat farming business, right from the time you start till the time you actually get to sell your first liter. So please make it a point to subscribe. But for today, I want us to look at how to construct a raised or a slatted kind of goat structure. A raised structure. Our structure is raised roughly around 4 feet above the ground, and like I told you, this structure is going to house roughly around 200 heads of goats. So that's quite a number of goats that we are going to have here on the farm. So please stick around. Well, I'm glad you're still watching the Duke's Farm. So let's drive straight into tonight's discussion. How to build a raised goat structure. First things first, you need to identify the land, the area, or a place where you're going to set up your structure. After identifying the location, of course, in your land or in your farm where you're going to put up the structure, you then need to go ahead and prepare the place so that it can give smooth access to builders or that fundi of yours who is going to actually construct it for you, in case you're not the one that is going to construct. By this I mean clear the land, clear the place of anything that could distract the measurements of the structure. Now, some of the things that, of course, I'm going to tell you do not apply only to those that want to build this particular structure, but any other structure as long as it is raised, because we want to make sure that this structure goes on for at least a couple of years, stays on for some good time, and that's why some of the things that I'm going to mention in here are very, very important to you, my dear viewers out there. So after identifying the location, if you have some money, clear the area and make it flat. But if you don't have the money to invest in maybe digging and making the area flat, you can just start the construction right away and then fill up the area maybe with maram or something. Start also by measuring the kind of length, width, and of course the height that you intend to have when setting up this farm. Now this basically involves the personnel that are going to do the construction, or even you yourself taking measurement of the area, because by then you will have already decided or agreed upon on the kind of structure, the length, the width, the height that you want to house according to the number of goats that you intend to raise. Before you go to buy the materials, you need to make sure that you calculate them so that you do not make mistakes when buying some of these materials. Now, among the materials that you'll need, of course, include timbers, iron sheets, nails, poles, chain link wire, among many other small things that I may not be in position to actually mention in this particular video, but I'll mention them in the next video about cost of constructing a goat pen. So after you've purchased the material, please start digging the holes, or you can leave people digging the holes and then you go purchase the material so that you can save on time. Okay, now after digging the holes, you need to prepare the poles. Now I told you that we need to give this house or structure the kind of strength that it deserves, the kind of strength that it requires, because we are not intending to raise goats for only 2 years. We want to raise goats for as long as we live, and therefore we want this house to serve the purpose for which it has been created for. So when preparing these poles, make sure that they are going to last long. And how do you ensure that these poles are going to last long? By doing a couple of things that I'm going to mention. One is treating the tree with some preservatives. Okay, there are some preservatives on the market, like those, black oils that are sold in in hardwares. Make sure that you also get that, I don't know whether it's a PVC, Cavera, PVC, that black something. Yes, that one. Apply it on the pole as well. And then what we did on our poles, we gave it an extra strength. In fact, 2 times. We did get the plain sheets. We applied, or we rotated around the pole where we're going to insert in the holes. And then after we did that, we also got, we prepared the sand, and a mixture of sand, cement, and of course some stones, those broken small pieces of stones. I don't know how, aggregates, I think that's how they are called. So we prepared those particular things, and then we put our poles to stand. So the first day was basically to measure, buy material, and start digging holes. The second day was preparing the poles, and then erecting them and supporting them so that we get the work started. So after we had inserted the poles, we gave it some time to actually get firm in the ground. I mean, if you've just cast the poles, you need to give them some time to first hold or get firm before you actually start the entire other process of knocking around or putting up the floor or even the roof. Otherwise, you're going to go through almost the same process all the time, as these poles will keep shifting positions. Remember, we want this building to be as straight, to be as smooth as possible. So the next day we started on the floor. The next day you should start on the floor, and this is how the floor is actually constructed or made. So we started by having these poles crossing over from one end to another, because we're preparing where our timbers were actually going to sit. Now, after preparing the floor, we also prepared the wood on which the timbers were going to sit. And like I was explaining, those are some of the poles that are going through over and over, just so to make sure that our structure is strong. Why did we have to put a lot of supporting structures? Is because this structure, or this goat pen, is going to house quite a number of goats. We also, what we did, we neatly fitted in the timbers, and the timbers that I'm talking about in Uganda, we call them blitis, but in a simple language they are called 2x6 or 6x2, I think 6x2. Yes, 6x2. Why we used 6x2? Initially, I had wanted to use 3x2 because I thought maybe I would save on the money, among many other things. But when I consulted one of those persons that is in the goat's business, he told me that no, don't actually do that. Use the 6x2, because the 6x2 don't usually break, but also they are strong, so they give your structure this kind of firmness, okay, so that you don't have any issues in the future, like, you know, bending things. So we had to use the 6x2 timber. After, we went on to work on the roof, and the roof, of course, as you can see, it took us a day as well to just prepare the roof, not including the arches, because the arches equally took another day. Like I told you, we built this structure for close to a week, but that could change depending on the amount of people or a number of people that you have on ground or at your site. So after we finished this, the iron sheets, it was now time for us to put chain link across this entire structure. Now, why do we put chain link instead of covering up the entire place? Is because goats are very sensitive to aeration, just like chickens, just like you know, rabbits that I've been talking about for the last couple of months. Now, after you've done the floor, you've done this the roofing, you've worked on the sides, chain link and all that. And by the way, the spacing between the floor and the roof should be at least somewhere between 6 feet. Is it feet? Yes, 6 feet, so that the chain link, because the chain link is 6 feet, it needs to fit in there. When you check our structure, we have about 3 levels of timbers. Please do not exceed the 3 levels, because you'll be limiting your goat's aeration that we have been working on by provision of the chain link, okay? Now, after you have done that, please make it a point to partition this structure depending on how you want it to be. After you've partitioned, of course, it's now time to have the doors fitted in, whichever partition you have made, plus also the outer doors. We have 2 doors, but all of these doors are supposed to be on the side of the structure and not in the middle. For some reason, that is how the goats work. They tend to, you know, want to enter from this side and not in the middle and stuff, and therefore having it actually on the side gives less work for the person taking care of these goats, because they do know how to enter the house, and they will do that on their own without anybody having to chase them to do that. If there is anything I have forgotten, please ensure. So the distance between the ground floor and our floor is, for our case, 4 feet, but you can choose to have any, but as long as it doesn't go under or below 3 feet. Why do we do this? Is because we want to give as enough room as possible for a person that is going to be going under our goat pen to clear or to clean the structure off of anything relating to the droppings or urine at the same time. Okay, so please ensure that you raise it at least to that minimum kind of level. What else have I not talked about? When, of course, making in here, ensure that you don't exceed 7 feet, like I told you, 6 feet rather, like I told you, because it will give you a hard time when fixing in the chain link. On the sides, as you can see, we have tried to cover it up with iron sheet because that place was remaining open, and sometimes we receive rain, so we thought let's just cover that one side of the width and not the length, please. So we covered it with some iron sheet just to protect our goats from direct rainfall. Plus also we intend to have some hay kept up on this structure, so that's why we are having it covered that side just a little bit, and I mean just a little bit. So in case I've forgotten anything, please remind me. But at the end of the day, you also need to consider constructing the playing ground or the exercising ground, and the exercising ground should be twice the number of or twice the size of your goat structure, so that it gives the goats enough or an ample space for them to exercise, because it's equally healthy and important for your goats to exercise. That's why we have the exercising ground. That's all I had for you in regards to how to build a structure. I thought, or I hope I have taken you through some of the things you need to have, or what you need to do in case you want to build a structure like this. The cost of this structure is coming up in the next video, so please keep around. Goodbye.